topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Camping Show. I'm C.W. Getz. It is Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022. We have a beautiful 72 degree. Up just went down to 71. I spoke too soon. I think it got up to 73 degrees today in north central Illinois. I celebrated. Juan, are you there? Pop in for me if you would, please. My wonderful producer. Yeah, there he is. Sir. Behind the controls, the man who makes this happen. I think it's the first time you've ever been on the air with me, in a visual way, right, Juan?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. But you're such a hottie. We need to see you every once in a while just to know. Hey, we had 72 degrees. You are in what? West Palm Beach, Florida?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. I hate you. Anyway, what did you have?
Living the dream.
Right. I know. What did you have for temperature down there today, by the way?
We are actually coming up to winter time now, so it's kind of cold. We're like in the low 80s right now.
Yeah, I really feel really bad for you, pal.
Yeah, really we're freezing out here.
Hey, you know what I did today? I mowed my lawn. And next to nothing. And I know I have scarred some people for life that drove by my place. All I was wearing was a pair of shorts, and I know it. They're probably rather angry with it. It's like, you can't unsee that, 158-year-old guy with no shirt, just a pair of shorts, and I'm sure it was something.
Oh,
yeah. The farmers love that around here, man, when they go by. But, I wanted to pop you on the air, say hi, because I'm flying solo tonight. Miss Bianca will be with us next week, but she was unable to be here this evening, so I figured I would converse with you a little bit. My wonderful producer, Juan. Thank you for the great job you do, by the way.
Thank you.
You betcha. Well, tonight's episode of the Camping Show is brought to you by Campground Views, making camping easier, by Rutabaga Paddle Sports, providing time on the water. Well, tonight's episode is Paddler Safety is for Everyone, with my special guests, Andrea White, Robin Pope, and Geoff Luckett. Let's start with Geoff. Geoff Luckett is the founder of Tennessee Kayak Anglers, which consists of over 8,000 members. He's a professional educator at Wilson Central High School in Lebanon, Tennessee. As a volunteer, Geoff serves as the vice president of the Tennessee Scenic Rivers Association and also serves on the ACA Safety, Education, and Instruction Council. Geoff has partnered with Don Dem from Alabama as co-author of the ACA Paddle Sports Angular Curriculum. Andrea White. Andrea White has been a dedicated water safety advocate for more than 7 years. She works professionally as the Community Programs Coordinator at Georgia River Network in Atlanta, Georgia. During her time as a volunteer, Andrea has spent the past 4 years as the ACA Tennessee State Director, serving as the chair of the ACA Regions and Affiliated Clubs Council, and also as the ACA Regional Chairperson for the Southeastern region. Andrea is an ACL Level 2 river kayaking instructor, specializing in bringing safety training to the entry-level paddler marketplace. Andrea was the co-founder of the Rescue for Wreck Boaters class in 2017, and in 2020, the ACA recognized her as the ACA State Director of the Year. Andrea also established a partnership between the ACA and Tennessee State Parks for National Safe Boating Week in 2022, along with launching and developing the new ACA Paddle Sports Angler curriculum in 2022. Most recently, Paddling Magazine named Andrea one of the top 20 river heroes for 2022. And finally, Robin Pope. North Carolina physician's assistant Robin Pope has a wide range of medical interests that include allergy management, injury prevention, and wilderness medicine. Robin has also been deeply involved in boating safety and aquatics education for the past 4 decades, and currently serves as the chairperson of the American Canoe Association's board of directors. He holds the ACA's highest instructor ratings in whitewater kayaking and Swiftwater Rescue. Robin is a member of the National Boating Safety Advisory Committee, a federal advisory committee that advises the Coast Guard on boating safety issues. He also serves as division chief for the Coast Guard Auxiliary's Paddlecraft Safety Division. Robin has been an instructor of paddling, swimming, lifeguarding, and swiftwater rescue for first responders, miscellaneous outdoor programs, clubs, and camps. He has been instrumental in developing national programs and standards regarding boating education for the National On-Water Standards Program and the National Association of State Boating Law Administrators, Education Standards Panel. Robin is a contributing author for Scouting's Kayaking and Whitewater Merit Badge pamphlets and Sea Scout Manual. Robin has also received awards from the ACA, the National Association of Search and Rescue, Sea Scouts, and the U.S. Coast Guard in recognition for his work regarding boating and water safety. Robin plans to use the data for boating and other water accidents, as well as his paddling experience and knowledge, combined with his medical experience, to create programs that are fun, safe, and help prevent accidents, injuries, and fatalities. With that, welcome to the show, everyone.
Hey, hello. Thank you for having us today.
Hey, you know something? I had a co-host lined up for this show to help me with all that, but unfortunately, she's not here to save me. So that was quite a bit of reading for me. That was almost past my 6th grade education level. Yeah. How you doing, kids?
Very good. And you?
I'm just fine, thank you. How is the weather where each one of you are at? And by the way, tell us where you are at, and we need this in Celsius. I'm just joking. So how are you doing? Where are you at located tonight, everyone?
So go ahead, Andrew.
I'm in Atlanta, and the weather's gorgeous here.
You know, I just love that Atlanta weather. Yeah, I love it.
So I'm east of Nashville, Tennessee, and it's been perfect. It's been perfect the last 2 or 3 weeks, to be honest.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm in I'm in Western North Carolina, just southwest of Asheville. And it's gray and raining. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's gray
finally
and raining
somebody
right now.
who's from the deep South, man, and is like teasing us with all these 80-degree temperatures and things. Robin, what do you think of that, right? That's just me.
I think, we'll go to the deep South in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a really good place to spend February.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to bring this up. You guys, I've been made aware that there were some awards issued recently to each of you. And you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, CW, man, I don't know who books your show, but they did a good job because on Sunday, Sunday, Robin got the big daddy of them all. He got awarded the Legends of Paddling Award.
Oh, wow. We call that rock star status. You know that, right?
Yeah, I try not to be there. I like to be in the background just doing the work. But
wow. I'll expect an autograph in the mail. You know, I think, was it Cliff Jacobson, Kevin Callan, one of those two that I remember was Legends of Paddling. Do you remember, Robin?
I believe it was Cliff.
Yes. Was Cliff? I thought so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Cliff has been a frequent flyer on the show as well. So, well, congratulations, Robin. That's awesome. And there were some other awards, right? What else do we have?
Well, there was a team award. You mentioned in the introduction that Geoff and I had worked on the Paddle Sports Angler work group, developing that curriculum for ACA. And the organization was kind enough to recognize our efforts and recognize the whole team collectively as the Volunteer of the Year.
Beautiful.
So I project managed it. As I've been very clear with everyone, I don't fish, but it's a curriculum that affects 3 to 5 million paddlers in the fastest growing part of paddle sports. So as a water safety advocate, I can't ignore it.
No, absolutely. You have to recognize that. That's very cool. Congratulations, Andrea. Geoff, what about you?
So I was a member of that team as well. I am the angler, so I'm the fisherman, and I'm also a teacher. So writing curriculum was kind of, I combined them both. I combined my love for teaching and fishing. And then we also worked with a friend of mine, Donald Dean, and he writes curriculum professionally. So he had that skill set, and he's also an avid angler.
That's great. It's great. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Our team there was 8 to 10 people depending on the meetings. And I mean, it was a team effort for over a year. Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, congratulations to each of you. That's awesome. So good stuff. Andrea, let's start with you. I'm going to pick on you first. How's that?
Okay. All right. I can take it.
You ready? Okay. Get started. What I want to know, what motivated you to become so proactive with motor safety?
Well, okay. So at the time, I mean, we're going back like 7-8 years now. At the time, I was a recreational paddler. I was not an instructor. I was dating an instructor, and my entire social circle was instructors. I was surrounded by instructors. Yeah. But I personally was a recreational paddler that was going to meet up groups every weekend, paddling with my friends. And I started seeing incidents and fatalities that were just a little too close to home for me. It really bothered me. There were groups that I went paddling with. I was 2 degrees of separation from people that were calling 911 and having problems.
Wow.
And I just immediately saw, like, I know both of these groups. I can connect these dots and we can do something about this.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't see any, I mean, you actually, well, wait a minute. Maybe you saw people being taken to, rescued or things. You didn't see anybody like, any fatalities.
Well, I think all of us at one point or another have seen mishaps.
Well, yeah.
but at that particular time, no, I was able to refer to news stories that were real time, that I had been on the water last weekend with somebody that was on that trip, so wow. It's like I was getting firsthand reports of what happened when the fire truck showed up. I mean, and that's not the kind of thing you want to hear about in paddling, because when you're dealing with water sports, by the time the fire truck gets there, it could be too late.
Well, and you bring an interesting point up. When things like that happen, it sheds a bad light on the whole thing. I mean, I'll just say this. It's my show. I guess I can do this. It's kind of like guns. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. But when you hear that sort of stuff on TV and the radio about a gunman and gunmen, it's kind of like it just whole bad light on guns. And the same thing with paddling. Kayaks are dangerous. Canoes that's dangerous. You can get killed. Well, you can get killed driving down the road too. But I think that does shed some bad light on the sport, paddle sports, just because someone did not exercise good safety precautions. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, what I will say is that people like us get so motivated because what we know is that, a half day or a day of training can make such a huge difference.
Absolutely.
It's not rocket science. You don't need to know a lot, but if you know a little, you can just have so much more fun and be safe and not have to, and have that peace of mind and not have to worry about it. Yeah. You have to have situational awareness and plan your trips, but there's a little training goes a long way.
Oh, absolutely. Well, statistically, what are we talking about here in terms of numbers with regard to boating accidents and fatalities?
So the Coast Guard publishes data every year looking at boating accidents across all range of craft, from airboats up to sailboats and everything in between. So when we look at paddling participation, first, the Outdoor Foundation publishes data on how many people are paddling. And if we go back to 2010, there were on the order of, take a look at my numbers, on the order of 7 million kayakers and about 10 million canoeists. We jumped up to about 21 million kayakers by 2019.
Oh, wow.
And the data from the Coast Guard and Outdoor Foundation show there are as many as 35 million or so paddlers, canoeists, kayakers, wow, and stand-up paddleboarders in the U.S. right now. And it's growing by about 500,000 boaters a year. Wow. So it's Coast Guard data shows we're about 39%, maybe more of the boating population in the U.S. So there are a lot of paddlers out there.
Cool. Yeah, very good. So what we're doing is working to encourage, yeah.
But when we look at it, paddling deaths have gradually increased from about 130 in 2010 to about 150 in 2019, and then there was a further increase with a jump in 2020 with a jump in participation. Yeah. And there's a really tight relationship between participation and deaths. It's almost a linear relationship. So we know that we need to get out, and as people learn or people join the sport, we need to provide opportunities for them to learn the simple things that will prevent problems. And for paddlers, the two causes of accidents seem to be hazardous water, getting in water that's harder than you know, and inexperience, which means you don't recognize those hazardous conditions. And then you fall out of your boat and you're not wearing a life jacket. You don't know how to get back in, and you've got a disaster after that.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you specifically about that here in a second, but first, let me ask you this, and I'm going to throw you this out of the blue, so I apologize. Okay. Put you on the spot, and maybe you don't have the stats to refer to this. When this big surge hit in 2020 with the COVID thing, everybody was going out and buying kayaks.
Yep.
Did the and I don't know how to. I'm not sure how I want to say this. Did the rate of accidents per population of paddlers increase because of lack of maybe knowledge, and even boating skills for that paddling skills? Did that increase like in a different rate or ratio? I should say, maybe ratio is the right term. In 2020.
Surprisingly, in paddling, it doesn't look like there was a big difference.
Really?
And in the first glance, that sounds great. With a little deeper analysis, it sounds terrible because it means that there are lots and lots of people that are going into boating and just aren't getting the education. And
Right.
because they're not getting that, they weren't getting that education in 2019, they're still not getting it in 2020, 21, 22. So it really, even though there was a dramatic jump, the ratio of participation to fatalities didn't seem to change a lot.
Okay. So I wondered about that. I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of new people, and while we encourage that, I think along with that goes the sort of responsibility of being safe with whatever you're doing. So yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna throw this out there, and whoever wants to field this, go for it. What factors do you attribute the numbers that you just provided us? What factors do you attribute those numbers to? Why the fatalities and the accidents that we have?
Well, I can say from an angling perspective that so when the participation jumped, it was fishermen who found a cheaper way to get off the bank in a kayak. So they were fishermen and not necessarily paddlers. So they were thinking in terms of fishing and not necessarily paddle safety. So if you look at a river, the fish usually stage in the most dangerous areas of the river.
Yeah.
As anglers, we take a lot of extra stuff and we shove it on that kayak, which increases entanglement hazards and also is a different way. If you happen to fall out, getting back into your boat is much more difficult. So anglers who saw kayaks as a cheaper way to get into the water, their approach to paddling can be flawed.
Yeah.
And they're kind of stacking the deck against themselves when it comes to safety.
Well, and they go out alone, and they go out alone, year-round, and they go out in all weather
at
conditions.
Night.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people like to fish at night. You know, a lot of the things you tell beginning paddlers, you know, you probably shouldn't paddle alone. You probably shouldn't be at night. You know, you shouldn't go out if it's raining, right? Because it's unpredictable what the river's going to do. But fishermen are drawn to those situations because that's sometimes the best time to be fishing.
Yeah.
And at that point, number one is catch fish, not safety. Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is safety, and you know, I get it. You know, you're not spending tens of thousands of dollars on a big Lund fishing boat, but and so how does they say you're going to cut a fat hog in the hiney? But along with that, yes, I have saved tons of money. Look what I can go out in my kayak and do this. But the inherent risks are, I mean, those need to be observed. I mean, and at least acknowledge that there are risks involved with that. And really it could become I mean, really fatal.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, and to Robin's point, if people aren't wearing a life jacket, or they don't know how to climb back in their boat from the middle of the lake, then they already are at a disadvantage if anything goes wrong.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the fishing kayak group. How about the safety equipment? I mean, people, there are people that carry safety equipment and haven't a clue how to use them. Am I correct? Do you see that a lot?
Absolutely. Yeah. You buy the safety equipment because it looks neat.
Yeah, right. Right. I got it. I'm not sure I know how to use it, but I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of like the people when we go on, we go canoeing and they're sitting on their PFD because it's, that's the best use they've found for it. Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys see that too.
Yeah.
And I kind of asked you earlier about the effects of COVID. That really didn't make a big difference in the statistically, did it?
Yeah, in terms of death to participation, it didn't. We did see a 20% increase in participation, so a big jump in numbers. And that was true for paddling. That was true for every type of boating. People wanted to get out, get on the water, and have fun. And that increases the risk, because there are more people out there who didn't get the training that they needed.
Right. And these are just fatalities. These are records you have. The stats you have are on fatalities, not incidents, as we call them, right? Where something happened, you didn't die, but you maybe went to the emergency room.
Yeah, and if we look at the Coast Guard data, the reporting criteria make it a lot more likely that you're going to report a powerboating accident, because there's a financial baseline. If I take a Boston whaler and run it into another Boston whaler, you're going to exceed that limit. If I take my $1,000 boat and destroy it, but I can get it back, it doesn't meet the financial reporting requirements.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. The other thing is that a lot of boating accidents, if you look at all types of boats, are collisions between two vessels. But if I get in my plastic kayak and I paddle as fast as I can and hit Jeff's plastic kayak, he's going to look at me and say, "Dude, what are you doing?"
We're not with the paddle. That's about it.
Yeah, we're not going to hurt anybody. If we're really doing it a lot, it's called kayak polo, and it's a sport. So we're not
interesting. I've learned a new term.
We're not able to. We're not able to.
All in your perspective, CW.
Yeah. Kayak polo. I like that.
What I will say is that when COVID hit, and some of the Outdoor Foundation data supports this, when COVID hit, so many of the clubs and community groups and folks that do training had to cancel. Yeah. That you had a simultaneous surge in participation and drop in available training.
Almost stopped.
Yeah,
completely.
So it was an unfortunate thing to happen at the same time.
Yeah. There's a lot of unfortunate things, it sounds like, with what happened. Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell you what, when we come back, we're going to continue this. We're going to talk about the effects that this has on the community as a whole. But right now, we're going to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be back with more of the Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
It is time to go camping. Introducing Campground View's virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sites, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground View's virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
We're back with our guests, Andrea White, Geoff Luckett, and Robin Pope. You're on The Camping Show. Let me ask you, what kind of effect does the number of accidents and fatalities have on the paddling community as a whole?
I think it makes all of us sit up and take notice. I think people that have paddled long enough, as Andrea mentioned earlier, we know somebody who has died or been badly hurt, or we know somebody who knows someone. Even though it's a small number per year, 100, 150 boaters dying per year out of millions, but it's still a small, tight-knit community. And it really drives you to make sure that we do things to prevent it from happening.
Let me ask you this. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
Do you think it leaves a negative impact or makes water sports, paddle sports, like in a negative sort of light when people go, oh, that's dangerous. Oh my gosh, you could get killed. Do you think that happens?
Yeah, and I think people look at the sport and we see advertising of people, paddling off of 100-foot waterfalls.
Yeah, right.
And there are people that do that, but they're very good paddlers, and most of us are not that good and don't do that. I think when we look at the stories that it's dangerous, it drives some of us to say, well, here are ways to make it less dangerous, because paddling is really fun. Going to the emergency room is not. So let's figure out a way to go paddle without ending up with a disaster. And there's some simple, straightforward ways to do that.
Yeah, I would agree. And the other thing is, I think we see a lot of the 100-foot, well, at least the 75-foot drops off, but that's what's really publicized.
Yeah.
And it does look dangerous. And then when you hear the stats or just hear, in their community that somebody, because we get it here, so-and-so, they sent a rescue team out for so-and-so in the Vermilion River. It just, to me, that looks bad. So people like me, people like you guys, or really promote safety and really promote the classes where you can learn motor safety. Am I right when I say that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think we all have a responsibility to promote that stuff, push that stuff. So, I'm sorry. Yeah. So what's the biggest problem you guys see that exists with regard to safety within the recreational boating community? What is the biggest problem we face?
If I could go ahead, Andrea. Yeah.
No, okay. Robin, please.
Okay.
You're the legend of paddling.
Barely. If we could do one thing, getting people to wear their life jacket. The typical fatal boating accident is not falling off a 100-foot waterfall. Right. It's falling over in the middle of the lake, not being able to get back in, and not being a good enough swimmer to stay afloat or get to shore. So wearing your life jacket's like wearing your seatbelt.
How do you do that, Robin? How do you get people to wear their safety jacket?
Oh gosh, if I could figure that out and get everybody to do it,
say it, yeah.
The life jacket companies would hire me.
How many people have to die before people go, maybe put that thing on?
In my experience, CW, the thing that teaches them is the water.
Yeah.
All of us have learned, because we've been in a dynamic river situation or a dicey lake situation, and the water taught us. And when I have a class, what I found has been the secret sauce to that. We've got a couple of tried and true drills that we do in some of our rescue classes. And one of them, it imitates what a tree across a river looks like. And we put our students in a controlled circumstance, surrounded by trained rescue instructors, where they're going to be completely safe, but we simulate a situation. And the water, by being in the water in a dynamic river feature and feeling out of control, the water teaches them that they want to wear a life jacket.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a way that my words may never get through.
I like that.
So also modeling is a big thing. So in classes, I like to point out, if you look and you pay attention to professional paddlers or people who paddle often, they're going to have their PFD on. They are. And as we teach, we're going to have it on. We're not going to be anywhere near the water without it on.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, as an instructor by trade, modeling is a huge deal. One of the things we fight against advertising, again, oftentimes in ads and print ads or even TV ads, people in the ads are not wearing a PFD. And I cringe every time.
Really?
Every time I see that, because it's modeling a bad behavior. And they're actors, right? They're not professional paddlers. They're actors or they're models.
Right. But so, wow, what a disservice, though, right?
Yeah.
And I think a third way, inexperience is a big problem for boating fatalities. So joining a club, getting friends that have some knowledge to mentor you. I've paddled with a lot of clubs, and every single one of them, if you show up without a life jacket, somebody's going to give you theirs or loan you an extra one so you can paddle. Right. But you're not getting on the water with the club without a life jacket, just because it's not the right thing to do.
Would you say
there was one day we waited for an hour while somebody went to REI and bought one?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good for you know what? That's good though. I mean,
Yeah, we didn't mind. That was fine.
Yeah, and that's modeling, right? That's modeling. Again.
yeah, right. Well, so I'm going to jump around here a little bit. Let's do this. I'm going to ask you one more question. We're going to do another commercial break, and we're going to do some photos because there's a video in there I want to play, and it's a little bit long, so I want to make sure we have time for that. What efforts have been made so far to ensure boater safety? Let's just look at least the ACA at this point. Tell us, Robin, what they have done to what efforts have been made.
We're all trying to figure it out as we go along. I can tell you that when I got started as an instructor, I was in Nashville at the time with my home club, TSRA. And Jonathan Ryan and I worked together to co-found a course we call Rescue for Wreck Boaters, but it's using tried and true ACA curriculum, but it brought it to life at a level that it's not usually taught. It brought it to life for the entry-level paddler. And so we had a day on a lake and a day on a Class 1 river, and we introduced them to the hazards and the prevention planning and the gear and the knowledge that they need, all the comprehensive knowledge we could stuff into a 2-day class,
right?
For how to be a lifelong paddler and have the most possible fun, but also be able to assess your hazards and prevent problems and have some skills.
Yeah.
And we sold that class out 3 weekends a summer for 3 years.
Wow.
We've continued to expand it. I brought it to Atlanta with me. My Georgia River Network folks embraced it with open arms and have been so supportive of the kinds of things we're trying to bring to market. And so that was where I started. Geoff and I work together, and I'll let him speak to some of the stuff we're done on the angler side, but it's kind of an outgrowth of that course, honestly.
Yeah. So basically we took that course and said, how can we apply that to fishermen and anglers? How can we attract anglers, kayak anglers to take a course? Because a lot of times they're thinking, I don't need a course. I know how to fish. So the kayak angling course covers some fishing, but it's really about paddling and safety and fishing and how they all meld together, much like the wreck boating class. So this big explosion in paddling over the last 10 years has been with wreck boaters and anglers, not necessarily whitewater paddlers. Like you mentioned before, whitewater is kind of intimidating, right?
Well,
like you look at a whitewater river and you're thinking, I might not do that. But you look at your lazy creek or your lake and you're like, oh, I can go out in a plastic boat. I know how to swim.
That's a huge problem right there. Yeah.
And before, in order to get kayaks, you had to go to an outfitter. You had to put in a little bit of research. You had to talk to some knowledgeable people to buy a boat.
Interesting.
Now they're available anywhere, and you can pick up a boat and not even get a PFD, right? But if you go to an outfitter, they're going to insist you buy a PFD, a nice paddle, or maybe a helmet, depending on if you're going to be in moving water. And they could get some entry-level education just from buying the boat. That piece has been kind of removed with the availability of boats anywhere. You can buy a kayak just about anywhere now. So that's the need for these classes is greater, I feel, than it used to be 12 or 15 years ago.
Do we have the provisions, the teachers to instruct these classes? Do we have enough classes if people want? I mean, can you find one in the middle of Hooterville? You know, I use that for an example. You guys are old enough to know what I'm talking about.
That's a real challenge. So the ACA is the largest paddling educational program in the U.S. We've got members literally around the world, and we have about 3,800 instructors. 3,800 instructors over 35 million paddlers means we could all be teaching full time and still not reaching everybody. And many of us teach on more of a volunteer basis, a few classes a year. So it is sometimes hard to get that instruction. It's why it is important to have some entry level and even online instruction. And I put something in the chat about a free online course that American Canoe Association offers. And there's a lot of stuff that is online that really emphasizes those simple things. Wear your life jacket, boat under control. If it's flash flooding, there are trees and cows floating downstream, you probably shouldn't. If you don't know where you're going and you don't have friends, you should probably find some and get some better guidance on where you're going.
Absolutely.
And if any of your listeners and watchers want to become are an experienced paddler and would like to become an instructor, have them reach out to me. I'll help them navigate that path.
I think that's awesome. Yes, absolutely. Great. I'm glad you mentioned that, Andrea. Well, we're going to take a break right now. Don't go away. We'll be back with more of the Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
time to go camping. Introducing Campground Views virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sights, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground Views virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
And we're back with our guests, Andrea White, Geoff Luckett, and Robin Pope. Juan, we've got some video first and then some photos we're going to take a look at here. You got those ready for us? great. That gives a great example of a lot of things. The video was a little longer than I thought, but I wanted to save some time for some closing thoughts here. And we really probably don't have time for the photos, but I think that video really covered the things that we wanted to make people, at least see and aware of.
But it reminded me how much fun we had.
Yeah, right. Definitely cool. And which one was that? Where was that one held?
That was Memorial Day weekend when we launched the fishing curriculum, and that was in Tennessee.
Okay, fantastic. That was a great video, by the way. I mean, that's kudos to you guys that put that together. I want to ask you real briefly here, and I apologize. I went a little long here, but I did want to make time for this. Let's have each of you give us your brief closing thoughts regarding recreational boater safety and what maybe needs to be done here in the very near future.
Robin, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Paddling is so much fun, and we can take some simple things to make it safer and more fun. Wear your life jacket, take a class that teaches you how to prevent falling out of your boat and what to do once you do, so you can get back in and help somebody else get back in. Go out and find some friends to paddle with that can help mentor you, and spend time out there, because again, paddling is just so much fun. Taking that little bit of training, doing some simple steps to make you safer will make it even more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Geoff, go for it.
So to me, the biggest thing is I like to tell people is safe paddling means that we all get to go home when we're finished. Yeah. Right? We get to go out and have fun, and we get to go back home. We're not spending time at the hospital or worse, right? So we have fun and we go home.
That's really something to keep in mind. I mean, you don't really think that way when you go, hey, we're going boating this afternoon, we're going fishing. But man, you need to think like that, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously I agree with everything the guy said. I will tell you the best. I had a woman in one of my classes one time who actually writes blurbs for book covers. And the best testimonial I ever got was that this class was like summer camp for adults.
Oh, wow.
So what I don't think people realize is that getting the training is fun.
I'm just going to say they can have
playing
fun
in the water with your friends. You know, it's not a hard day. You're going to learn things that maybe put you a little out of your comfort zone. But then your comfort zone will be expanded forever after that.
And your confidence just grows immensely, which increases your fun when you're out there.
I absolutely would think that. And, here's the thing. It's generally you can get some really good information in as little as one day. Am I correct?
Right.
Yes.
What's one day, really? I mean, in the whole grand scheme of things, that's a one day time well invested.
Playing on the water with your friends.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. So that's pretty much, I mean, you guys, there's so much more we could talk about. And I was going to ask a story, but I mean, everybody I'm sure has heard stories of things that really happened, and they found this guy and they found that girl and all kinds of stuff. But I really wanted to get the things that we talked about on the air. And of course the video I thought was really, really important. Let me ask you lastly, guys, where can people go to learn more about recreational boater safety and to sign up for a boater safety class in their area?
So I think we gave you guys some links.
Yes, we did.
So if you're looking for an ACA class in your area, we gave you the link to the ACA calendar. If you're having trouble finding something, I also gave you a link to the regional chairs. So
let me have you do this verbally, because a lot of people download our podcast and they don't get the luxury of having what's going across the screen here, all these links. So why don't you give us a couple verbal links if you can, everyone, and that way the people who listen to the podcast in the car.
Sure. Just americancanoe.org and look for the calendar, the course calendar.
That's the easiest way.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way. For Geoff, you're going to go to paddletsra.org.
Okay.
And if you're for me, you're going to go to georgiarivers.org, garivers.org. And then Robin, you want to talk about the online course again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to the American Canoe Association's website and then look under education, you'll see a link to an online course. And it's about a 30 or 45-minute interactive course that gives all the basic safety information, talks about weather and water conditions and wearing your life jacket and dressing for water conditions, because we want to dress for the water temperature, not the air temperature. It's not going to make you an expert boater, but it's going to give you the basic information to safely get on the water and then start getting the experience to be an expert boater.
It's fantastic.
And hopefully make you want to take a class.
Yes.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, listen, we want to thank you, Andrea, Robin, and Geoff, for being our guests here on the Camping Show this evening. It was a pleasure having each of you here with us.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Yeah,
Stick
thanks
around
for
after
having
the show.
us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Stick around after the show. I'll chat with each one of you a little bit here.
Okay.
But for right now, I'd like to thank each of our sponsors for bringing you tonight's show, Campground Views, Rutabaga Paddle Sports, and be sure to tune in for next week's episode, Canadian Outdoor Adventuring from a Ukrainian Digital Creator's View with our special guest, Irina Verevkina. Until then, this is CW Gets reminding you, learn more, do more. See you next week.